Very nice. Kieran Lalor. I get it. Back here on the Bernie and Sid show. Next hour, Anthony Scaramucci and Joseph Abboud live in studio. Great 9 o'clock hour. The editor from the National Review, very bright guy, Rich Lowry, and, of course, the director of the National Economic Council. He works for President Trump. Used to work here, Larry Kudlow. So we got a very, very impressive guest list coming your way. We do start with this guy, Kieran Lalor, an article in yesterday's Wall Street Journal. And here's the deal. It's very simple. Longtime GOP, longtime state GOP chairman Ed Cox is looking to win again, another couple-year term. But as it turns out, there are folks that are lurking behind him, folks that other folks would like to see win. And one of those guys is, in fact, Kieran. Now, we love Kieran, even though he goes on Joe Piscopo's show, but that's fine. Bernie's okay with it.
Yeah, he's got to spread the...
He's got to spread the love, right?
Right.
So here he is, hopefully the next New York State GOP chairman, and a guy that's been kicking ass up in Wappingers Falls and Fishkill and those parts of upstate New York for many, many years.
As a New York State assemblyman.
That's right. Our friend Kieran Lalor. Good morning, Mr. Lalor.
Hey, good morning, guys. We got to keep this short. I have Joe coming up in a couple
Yes.
Is that cool?
And by the way, Kieran Lalor is a Marine Corps Iraq War veteran, and that's why we played that music.
I appreciate you putting that music in. I was worried I was going to have to follow R. Kelly there.
You see what you did?
Yeah.
Now, what is it like, before we talk about this this big seat that we hope you do get, honestly? So you're driving around yesterday about 9:40 in the morning, listening to us as you do every day. Us, that's right. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I start to talk about you. Your Facebook post, Joe Piscopo. I know you're going to come off as, no big deal, I'm a big-time guy, I'm Mr. New York. But truth is, you were like, oh, my God, they're talking about me. How cool is this?
Yeah, my friends were, I was listening. My friends were texting me. My older brother, Pat, who was a Marine also, he was coming down to throw you guys a beating for trash-talking little brother.
Let's go, yo. We're here. We didn't go anywhere.
No, it would be me. It wouldn't be Bernie. Bernie was actually defending you, saying, he can go on whatever show he wants.
That's
it was
true.
me. So direct your brother towards me. But on a serious note.
I tell my wife this all the time. My only regret is there's only one me.
That's right. There's only one you. But one you would be enough
Too bad she doesn't agree, but go ahead.
to take over for Ed Cox as a New York GOP chairman. We read the Wall Street Journal column. How serious are you about this?
I'm very serious about it. I'm concerned about the party. I'm not looking to challenge Ed Cox. I think there might be a change coming up, and my view is if there's going to be a change, I'd be an excellent chairman. We live in a huge state. There's divides between upstate and downstate. Where I live in Dutchess County is kind of the mythical place where upstate and downstate meet. In the Republican Party, we have a lot of grassroots people, Second Amendment people, Tea Party people, and they're kind of divided from the actual Republican establishment. And I'm from those grassroots groups, but I happen to be in the Assembly now the last 6 years, so I'm in the grassroots, but I'm also in the establishment, so I can kind of expand the party by bringing those people into the Republican tent and get everybody pulling in the same direction. And, one thing that I think is a key, 25 years ago, 50 years ago, the Republican Party was the country club party. It was the party of Wall Street and the super rich. But that's not the case anymore. The Republican Party is the middle class party. Wall Street, big tech, big corporate leaders, they're all, for the most part, lefties. The Republican Party is the party of the working guy, the guy who's commuting right now, who's listening to your show. And yes, I'm in politics, but most people think of me as a guy who was a teacher, was a Marine, went to law school at night. There's a lot of people around here, they say, I didn't even know Coach Kieran was in politics. I thought he was just my son's Little League coach. And then I pop up on TV or on your radio show. And I think that's important to have a relatable face of the Republican Party to try to expand the Republican Party so that we can have victory on Election Day.
You're absolutely right. Kieran Lalor, New York State Assemblyman, Marine Corps, Iraq War veteran. Look, under this guy, this Republican Party chairman that we have now, we just lost the Republicans just lost the state Senate. I mean, it's been shrinking. We had good men losing races left and right in the recent election. And, of course, the most recent was the special election for public advocate. But, look, so it sounds to me like you don't like Cox, and that's fine. But now, this Governor Cuomo, I mean, this is the problem here in this state. I mean, he was talking about he's serious as a heart attack about us losing revenue. And he seems to be stunned by it. We're the highest tax state in the nation. And so people are fleeing The makers are fleeing. The takers are incoming because he's giving away the store. And he's flummoxed that we're losing billions of dollars in revenue. I mean, that's the mentality that you have to deal with as a Republican Party chairman.
You mentioned that Larry Kudlow is coming up later on in your show, and Kudlow was on the air in New York for years. He's been a voice on tax policy for years here in New York. There's no way that Governor Cuomo never heard if you tax people too much, especially people who at the higher end of the economic scale who are mobile, they're going to leave the state. He knew that. He kept doing it, and he hoped that the day when the shortfall would really occur was well into the future when he was not left holding the bag. Well, he's holding the bag. He chased out all the high earners, many of the high earners, and he caused this problem. And it's his job to fix it. There's plenty of fat in the budget that we could fix. Our budget is bigger it's almost double Florida, the state of Florida, and Florida has a bigger population than us. I'm sure you guys talked about it.
Yes.
AOC's Mama OC down there in Florida, she could pay $10,000 in Westchester and Yorktown, or she could pay $600 a year on her house and property taxes. So, I mean, you do the math there. That's why there's a massive exodus. The governor doesn't want to address the problems that lead to that. Very few in the Democrat majority want to address those problems, which is why we need to start winning some elections with some fiscally responsible Republicans.
It's frustrating, though, Kieran. I got to tell you. It's frustrating because, Bernie just pointed out Andrew Cuomo, some of his shortcomings, and it doesn't matter. He doesn't win. He destroys the competition. Bill de Blasio, mayor of New York City, he kills everybody. As Bernie just talked about, the Republicans lost the Senate. It doesn't seem like we can yell and scream and talk about all the injustices and people are running out of the state, and it doesn't matter. It just seems like these guys, these Democrats, are in for life. I mean, if you become the GOP chairman, for example, and we hope you do, we really do, how do you change that? How do you change the thinking of people in this city and people in this state?
We have to expand the Republican Party into communities that maybe aren't traditionally part of the Republican coalition. There's a thing going on in New York City where Mayor de Blasio wants to discriminate against Asian American kids because they score so high on the test to get into Bronx Science.
Jews too, by the way. You could add them too. We're Jews too. But go ahead. Yep.
And there was a great article in the paper, and they compared it to Harvard back 100 years ago. They didn't want too many Jews in Harvard. You're 100% right.
Yep.
And we have to say to those communities who liberals are hurting, who liberals are discriminating against, who liberal policies are making their lives less prosperous, hey, you're home with us. If you want economic liberty, if you want someone fighting to make your paycheck bigger by giving you more of the money that you actually earn and less to the government, we're the party for you. Get over any past, beefs you might have had with the Republican Party. This is a 21st century Republican Party that is welcoming to anyone who wants to work hard and fight for individual rights, and that's what we have to do. We can't just stay with the group that we have now. We're going to continue to get beaten. We need to grow, and we have a message that is economic opportunity. President Trump says it all the time. Hispanic Americans are better off economically under Trump. The Black Americans, go down the list. Veterans are better off economically. Everybody's better off economically with these policies. We just have to convince everyone and make that connection so that they realize that when they're at the ballot box.
That's what it's all about, Kieran, Assemblyman
and,
Kieran.
I mentioned President Trump just a second ago, and one thing that whoever is the Republican chair in the next year has to do, you have these snot-nosed never-Trumpers like Bill Weld, maybe the governor of Maryland, who nobody ever heard of, who are thinking about primarying President Trump just to embarrass him. They know they're not going to beat him. 90% of Republicans support the president. So we need people in leadership positions that are going to really stand up for the president here and say, hey, yes, you can run your nuisance campaign here, but you're going to get embarrassed and you're not going to find any critical mass of voters here, and really make sure we stand up for the president, because the president has faults, as we all do, but my belief is he's the last best hope for this country. And if things go the other way and there wasn't a President Trump in there stopping some of these crazy policies, especially as it relates to immigration, it's game over for the USA.
Exactly right. And in the minute we have left, Kieran Lalor, again, citing President Trump, the deregulation in this state, in New York, we could be fracking. We could have gas pipelines. We could be economically doing better. But the mentality is, no, that's bad for the environment. Screw the people of New York. Screw the people of upstate who need the jobs. I mean, that mentality is holding us back.
The three people in the room that are going to decide this budget, they all live within 20 miles of each other, either Lower Westchester, Yonkers, or the Bronx. They don't care about Long Island. They don't care about what goes on north of White Plains. And we need policymakers who do care about all of us who live outside that little, small metropolitan bubble.
Jimmy Vilkine's column, once again in the Wall Street Journal, is titled, After Blue Wave, New York GOP Chairman Vies to Retain His Seat. Ed Cox looking to hold on to the seat, but Bernie and Sid are endorsing Kieran Lalor as the next state GOP chairman. He's the right guy for the job. Kieran, excellent job as always. Keep up the good fight, buddy. We love you.
All right, take care. Likewise.
All right, take care. There he is. Marine hero.
He's a good man.
Good man.
We need more people like him.
Right. All right, Errol Lewis, he ever serve? Not that I did, but.
He served. He got served. Many, many times. By the way, he grew up in New Rochelle.
Yeah, I know.
Not New York City.
I know. Real tough guy. We'll take a break. We're coming right back.
All right. Bernie and Sid